Look alert gamers, Solo here. I'm going to be doing a quick rundown, tier list, 14.11, top lane. I'm the expert. Listen up. This is going to be what's going down. All right, we get into it. Of course, the best top laner right now is Skarner. This champ is insane. I don't know why I'm talking like this. It doesn't really matter. For the most part, the best thing about Skarner is the fact that nobody knows what he does. And he gets solo kills in every matchup. If you watch my stream, you'll notice I'm just murdering people left and right, and the damage is insane. Even though they've nerfed his Q a bunch of times, for the most part, he just has insane playmaking. He also is insanely tanky mid game. If you get ahead, you might as well just be unkillable for the mid game. The only downside about him is he doesn't really have the best like late game carry potential, but you can get ahead really easy, get an impact on the map, and in most games, that'll be able to kind of propel you into a victory. There's a small chance that maybe at some point you'll get out carried by an AD carry or something. But, you know, I would say he definitely has the most impact. And he's probably one of the most fun to play because I'm a big fan of champions that can play make. All right, these are the champions that, although this is kind of based off general skill, the difference between being good at these four champions and not is huge. And if you're a very, very good, you know, Riven player, Vayne player, Fiora player, you're going to carry a lot of games. And if you're bad at them, they're probably like closer to C tier. So why are these champions so good? Well, they dominate lanes. And once they get ahead, they kind of just take over the map with their mobility. They're catching. They can get a lot of extra kills. And then unlike Skarner, when you get into the later part of the game, you know, a flash Riven Q, a Fiora flank, Vayne just like on her own can kill like a whole entire front line and be really tanky with Jak'Sho. So these champions are just really insane. If you're trying to be like more of the actual solo carry, these are the champs for you. And K'Sante, on the other hand, he is a tank. He's a little bit slower, maybe a little bit hard to get involved sometimes. But if you do get ahead, or if the game is kind of slow where you can get to 2+ items, he is probably one of the best tanks in the game later on, because he can turn into a carry and he can get kills and just take over a game. And once you get ahead as K'Sante, you're just an absolute demon. Definitely the best champ when you're winning, kind of the most insane. You just walk into the enemy team, do whatever you want. Going into the other S tier, these champs are a little bit easier, of course. I put my boy Rumble up there. Love Rumble. I think he's insane. Dude does really well into every lane. You can get kills. You can roam the map, make plays. The only bad part about something like Rumble, he doesn't have much side laning later on because he kind of gets outscaled in the 1v1. So if you don't have another champion like a Tristana or you know, Yone or Qiyana in the mid lane that can kind of help side lane, it can be a little bit hard for the team, since it is dangerous for you to just be in the side lane with Ignite. TF, on the other hand, TF is just a really good split pusher, really good playmaker. He's got the ulti, he's got the range advantage in top lane. The thing I really think that's OP about TF is Gold Card on its own with something like Rapid Fire Cannon just completely warps how team fighting and macro is done. Because if you just walk up on a mid wave and you gold card someone from 700 range, they're probably going to die. And I think that level of playmaking makes it really difficult for the enemy team to do stuff. And that's why he's up here as well. A tier, these champions kind of just can do everything. They're very, very close to S tier in a lot of ways. I think that they can be played as weak side. They can be played as strong side. They have good matchups into just about everything. It's very much like player skill is going to matter here. And they can get involved. Like they can TP, they can snowball 1v1. They're just very well rounded. And I think that compared to the next tier, which is going to be a little bit more feast or famine, these champs are going to be useful in every game and every matchup. The only champ I was really thinking of maybe putting into S from here was Camille, but because she does have pretty poor matchups into a lot of champions, it's kind of hard to put her up there because she doesn't have that raw 1v1 potential that the upper bracket has. And then we go into B tier. The thing about this is you have a lot of champs here who are feast or famine, like the Gwen, the Olaf. When you're getting ahead, you just completely tear open a game. But it becomes a little bit difficult to get ahead and to get involved because they're such linear champs. You're literally just right-clicking, running at people, hoping that you can fight. And then the other side of this, we have some tanks who the laning phase isn't as good. But if you do get out of laning phase, they are really, really strong in the team fighting aspect. Think of like Ornn, Malphite here. Really, really impactful ultis. Whereas you might not be winning the lane, but once you get to 20+ minutes, having a guaranteed engage can be really, really helpful, especially in solo queue where it's a little bit more awkward for players to, find an angle. C tier here, a lot of these champs, this is kind of the most of the roster for top lane. They're not necessarily bad. Some of them actually have pretty good matchups, but nothing insane where you're just completely taking over a game. And a lot of them do have problems when it comes to getting involved. We'll take a champ like Renekton, for instance, or Mordekaiser, who both have like really favorable matchups and can do well in the 1v1, but are extremely difficult to get involved into the team game, to make consistent plays because they're just so slow or one-dimensional. And they can be blocked in a lot of ways from like supporting cast from the enemy team. So that's why they're more down here. And nothing wrong with these champs. I just think they're just definitely a step below the B tier as far as usefulness when it comes to like winning the game. And lastly, we get into the D tier. And a lot of these champs are champs that either just lose a lot of matchups, or champs that just have really no way of getting involved in the game. We'll take a champ like Mundo, for example. Mundo loses just about every matchup, and he also has an extremely hard time getting to game until he's later, like much later on into the game. And by then, it's more or less decided by what the rest of the team is. And if you know anything about the way I like to play top lane and the way I view it, I'm so much in getting involved as early as possible, because there's nothing more I hate than being 1-0-1 top and the rest of the map has 20 plus kills. And then when you see another champ, a couple champs like Yone and Yasuo, who are actually not that bad as a 1v1, but against the top lane pool as opposed to the mid lane pool, there's so many games where I see Yone top get absolutely blasted by, regular things like a Renekton or, by Darius, and you basically have a cannon minion on your team. So this is about the tier list, and if I miss the champion, oh, solo, I play Zilean top, where's the Zilean on this list? Anything that's probably not in here, you could probably just put into the D tier. I either don't see it enough, or I don't think it's that relevant, because you could play anything top. And if you have any, hey, if you have any champions that you think should have been higher, then let me know in the comments. Let me know what you think about the list. I'm feeling pretty good about it. I have some controversial stuff in there because I know people think Poppy's A tier, but I've been roaming around on this thing and it's been absolutely superb. So try it out if you haven't. And I'll see you guys in the next one.